Hi, my name is Afra Sulfikher. I'm the chairperson of the Women's Wing at the Professional Alliance of Indian Radiographers at the United Kingdom. Welcome to our special International Women's Day podcast session. Today, we celebrate women's leadership, courage, and ingenuity in healthcare. And there is no field where this matters more than in radiography. Radiography has been at the forefront of patient care, innovation, education, and service development across the NHS and beyond. Over the next few sessions, we'll be hearing from some outstanding leaders who each represent different facets of this journey, from national professional leadership to operational clinical expertise to advancing clinical practice and education. And these conversations are not just about career successes, but they are rather a journey of inspiration, a story about barriers that were broken and the paths they are helping to create for the next generation of young radiographers. We will be spotlighting some remarkable women who have helped shape radiography as a profession and continue to drive excellence, innovation, and inclusion on a day to day basis. Thank you for joining us. Let's get inspired. Good morning, Sue. It's nice to meet you. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
All right.
Yeah, as happy as I can be on a Friday morning.
No, absolutely. I completely relate to those emotions, I would say. So, to our audience who are not aware, well, everybody are probably already aware of you, Sue, but Sue is a professional officer for clinical imaging at the Society and College of Radiographers, drawing on nearly 40 years in a profession she's proud to call home. Her career spans clinical practice, service management, lay representative roles with the SOR, and a brief spell in higher education, all of which deepened her belief in the skill and quiet brilliance of the radiography community, especially the women who have shaped it for decades. She has also served as a president of the Society of Radiographers, bringing honesty, warmth, and a touch of northern practicality to the role. As part of the Society's professional and educational team, she contributes to setting standards, supporting good governance, and strengthening the profession. Her particular passion is widening development opportunities. So, radiographers, assistant clinical imaging professionals, and support workers across the UK can grow and thrive. Although recognized in both academic and clinical settings, Sue doesn't see herself as a traditional leader. She's actually motivated by creating space for others to thrive, helping everyone from new starters to seasoned experts build confidence, find opportunities, and feel the strong sense of belonging that has sustained her throughout her career. Sue, welcome to the podcast. I wish you a very happy International Women's Day. It's lovely to catch up with you. So, looking at where you are at the moment and looking back over the decades in radiography, so say from clinical practice to national leadership, what defining moment first made you realize the impact you could have beyond the clinical environment?
I think that's a really interesting question. And just listening to what you were saying about me, I mean, nearly 40 years ago, there's no way that I would have thought that that would be what somebody would be saying about me 40 years in the future. So, you never know what's going to come around the corner. I think thinking long and hard about, well, was there a single defining moment? I'm not sure there was a single defining moment, but I think becoming a Society of Radiographers Industrial Relations representative was a significant moment because I sort of fell into the role when the person who was in the role left on maternity leave, and I was in a department where there was consultation on shift patterns, moving from on call, and there was discussion about laying people off and redundancy. And I was sort of one of the last ones in and thinking, hang on a minute, I've just got a job. I might just lose my job. So I stepped up to think, well, I'll be the IR rep. And nobody contradicted me or pushed me back or anything. It was a case of, well, you volunteered, let's get on with it. But I think that sort of connection with the Society of Radiographers, that's sort of development of a network of people outside of my own immediate organisation. So other reps, we had regular meetings, training, and realising that there was a whole host of people who had been there, done that, who I could learn from. So I wasn't reinventing the wheel. I was listening, trying to listen, and thinking about how to sort of make my own way through. But then also recognising within my employment organisation that as a local rep, I actually had access to systems, processes, people that my manager didn't. The NHS was a different place then. It was incredibly hierarchical, and my boss had to go through 8 layers of management to get to the board. As a local rep, I could go to a meeting where the chief exec and the board members were. And so I suddenly thought, hang on a minute, I'm here as a little newly qualified radiographer, actually in a very masculine world. I have to say, the vast majority of people around the table were men. The union reps and the senior leaders were men. But I went to those meetings and suddenly found I had a voice and that people listened to the voice. I had to be brave, and I didn't always say the right things, but diplomacy has come over a long time. But yeah, that's so probably becoming an industrial relations rep was the bit that helped me realise I had a voice. And then many years of looking for opportunities, for thinking about where you can influence and how you influence and who to influence has sort of built on that. So that was probably it wasn't a seminal moment at the time. I don't think I had any idea at the time that that was the start of my journey. So yeah, that
Wow.
would be where I would say.
Well, first of all, you seem to be a very, very humble person. Your humility is out of the world when you say that, to be honest. But listening to what you just mentioned, so it seems like you've actually, come the long way, and you may have definitely jumped a lot of hoops when you did that. And at the moment, you're working at a national level, which means you are a very important part of influencing policy, education, workforce standards. How do you carry the weight of representing an entire profession, and what keeps you grounded in that responsibility?
Well, until you asked that question, I hadn't felt the weight. So I
That's
don't.
the reality, and you've nailed it. But
Yeah,
how?
yeah. I don't feel the weight because it's not just on me. I have a fabulous executive director of professional policy, Charlotte Beardmore, who's had a very similar sort of journey through to her role as me. So, Charlotte is somebody who I can bounce ideas off, can challenge, can discuss, can debate. I love nothing more than a good debate because that's what freshens my thinking and helps me to refine the direction of travel. But we also have 30 odd thousand members who would very quickly let me know if things were going in the wrong direction. We have a UK council of representatives of the profession who also have to endorse and feedback on the work that we do or direct the work that I do. I also have some really great colleagues who also are very good at saying, oh, it's not very well, Sue, you saying that, but what about this, what about the other? And you have to sort of pull all of that in. And then we have some advisory groups on the professional side of the organisation who keep me absolutely grounded, feet on the ground. I'm very good at let's do the blue sky thinking, and they can tell me all of the clouds and the puddles and the challenges along the way. So I'm surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of people who keep me grounded. The one person who probably, though, keeps me the most grounded is my husband, who is very good at bringing me back to the basics. He tends to call me Saint Susan, and then points out all the bits of me that are not saintly. So, I have a whole host of family, friends, professional networks that keep me very grounded. And it doesn't feel like a weight. It feels like a privilege.
Absolutely. I think, again, touched on a very important factor there. So that it's not just about work, isn't it? Our personal lives do have a massive impact on our work. But as much as people say, you've got to separate them, don't bring your family life to work. I do not think that's actually practically possible. And as humans, we do tend to mix them together. So when we have a very supportive network in our homes, we are a very happy and productive individual at work as well, is what I believe. And obviously, we've spoken about how challenging your current responsibilities are, isn't it? So in your journey through management and professional leadership, were there moments, and I'm sure you had, but what were your challenging systems, and when did you have challenging perceptions or even your own self-belief, and what did those moments actually teach you about resilience?
Oh, you don't ask easy questions, do you? Though.
We'd like to know, how did
I'm
you
going
do
to
it?
pick up. I'm going to pick up on the just go back very quickly to that point about, don't bring your personal life to work. We talk about holistic care of patients and looking at the whole for that individual. So, we know that health is impacted by your housing, your education, your family circumstances, the culture in which you live. So why would we not want to do that with our staff, our employees, our peers? And my years of managing people, managing radiographers, support workers, and occasionally having to step in with management issues with doctors, made me realise that actually what goes on behind people's home doors, closed doors, is probably more impactful than what goes on in the workplace. And so that holistic view of people has always been important to me. So connecting with people, understanding who somebody is a major part of how you then can move forward. So there's only one person that I have control of, and that's me. And that's probably only about 80% of the time, and 20% of the time it's emotion and all the rest of it. It's and that is the sort of the difficult. I'm the hardest person to manage in terms of sort of that leadership. So understanding myself has taken a long time, and that doesn't come, when I was 21, I had no idea who I was. When I was 41, I was probably beginning to get an idea of who I was, and I'm very nearly 61, and I'm probably comfortable with who I am, but not necessarily understand fully who I am. So I think that's a crucial part of who you are and your leadership development. But in terms of the sort of those perceptions, those challenges, I spend every day challenging perceptions about radiographers. It's just a major part of what we do. We make our job look so easy. You push a button, you get a set of images. But it's not that easy. The mental effort that's going into actually getting those good images, and I do talk about good images. No radiographer should just be accepting average images. We should be all seeking to get those brilliant images that add to the diagnosis. There's a huge amount of knowledge and experience and expertise that sits behind pushing the right buttons. There's a huge amount of personal ability in getting patients to communicate or communicating with patients, getting them to do what you want them to do, to understand why what you're doing what you're doing in a very, very short time frame. Making those relationships so quickly is crucial, and I think that helps in my national influencing roles, because I'm able to make those connections, I'm able to make those relationships, so I can translate that over. And getting people to understand that radiographers don't just take images, is a massive perception that you keep. Well, I don't know. I think there is a quote around keep doing the same things and expecting a different outcome is the first sign of madness. I think it was assigned to. Well, I don't know who it was assigned to, but anyway, it's sort of a meme that's gone through life. And you have to keep thinking, well, how do I reframe that message so that people don't just see us as technicians, as people who push buttons, and do recognise that professional practice, that need for quality control, regulatory compliance, professional development, support of patients, holistic management, and that we have a really, really key role in that care pathway. That's a daily challenge that I've probably faced since I reached any sort of level of leadership role in my work. So that's a daily thing that just has become normal. How does that build on my resilience? I think just thinking about different ways to approach it. It's draining, keep saying the same thing. So how can I say it differently? What can I do differently? How can I demonstrate that isn't just what we do? So that's sort of one way is trying to think differently about what we do. Own self-belief every day. Every day. Is this the right thing to do? Am I doing it in the right way? Actually, never forget that, because at the point where your ego tells you that you're right and everybody else is wrong is the point where you should give up. And I'm not going to go on about world leadership, but look at the world leaders and just think, what traits do I not want? Absolutely, they're the traits I don't want at the moment, and I will try and build on the positive traits that I do want. But every day, do just check yourself, have a check and challenge moment about what you're doing, why you're doing it. You are allowed some days where you don't deliver. You twiddle your thumbs a lot, daydream, your mind goes off. That's really crucial as well. So it's about recognising yourself as a whole person, challenging systems. As a society of radiographers, I'm not sure how much our members realise we do try and challenge the systems, but we do. It's very hard to articulate what I do in my job. People say, what do you do? Well, actually, I'm not really sure sometimes. What do I do? But we spend a lot of time challenging people, saying, well, we're not doctors, we're not nurses. Where do we fit in the system? We are part of the allied health professions family, but we're unique. This is what we deliver. This is what we do. And that's unseen work. But we spend a lot of time talking to people, trying to find the right people to influence. How do you know where to influence in such a complex system? And at a time of change, of NHSE moving to the HSC, we've got to make those new connections. And a lot of the really great people that we do work with who get us and understand us are moving off either into redundancy and retirement, or will move into roles where they're less involved with us. So, every day is a challenge, but it's something I enjoy and it's something I relish. The personal connection bit is the bit I think that stimulates and motivates me, and it is, the system is only made up of people. It's not a system, it's individuals. So seeing people as individuals, recognising people as their whole selves is the bit that gives me my resilience, and that's the radiographer in me.
That was absolutely brilliant. So in fact, working as a lead for the last few years, one of the challenges that I face, and still face, to be honest, is change management. Anything that needs changing is so difficult because all of us in general, human nature, I would say probably, is that we like to be in our comfort zone, isn't it? We've got used to doing something and we just don't want to change it. And when you have to change it, it's like, oh, I just can't do it. And I think that is the mentality that many people got to get over. And, particularly the young generation of radiographers, they've got so much energy, so many ideas in them that they've got to jump out of their comfort zone in order to be able to translate those ideas into daily practice. And then just touching on the button pushers element that you said, oh, that breaks my heart when somebody says that we radiographers are just button pushers. But because again, like you said, we just make it look so easy, isn't it? So considering the number of young people that have actually come into the profession now, because I think when we look over the last decade, maybe radiography is actually picking up traction. It is actually coming into light when it comes to career choices, the career fairs and all that, unlike how it used to be a couple of years ago. So when you think about the future of radiography, particularly it's International Women's Day, so let's focus on the young women who are entering the profession today. What kind of professional culture do you hope they inherit? And what do you think still needs to change?
Yeah, again, it's an interesting question, isn't it? What professional culture do they inherit? Because we inhabit the culture. So surely by being part of the culture, you are changing, you are influencing. So I think maybe not thinking about inheriting a culture, but thinking about inhabiting a culture is a better terminology. So you come into a culture, of course you do, your new job, new role, wherever you happen to be, new family, when you get married, or if you don't get married, your friendship groups, you're part of multiple cultures. So you inhabit those cultures, but just simply by being you then influence those cultures. So I would say, don't be shy of being you. Don't sit on your hands when the opportunities come up. Put your hand up. You may not be the right person. You may not have the right skills. And you might suddenly think halfway through doing something, oh, this isn't for me. I went for a job interview once and halfway through thought, I don't want this job. So I just started answering the questions really randomly and left thinking, oh my goodness, they're going to think I'm a complete nutter. But I hadn't really thought through what the consequences were of what I was sitting there doing. So yeah, try and think of the consequences, but try not to be too concerned when the consequences you didn't think of happen. We live in a universe of unforeseen consequences. things happen external to us. We can only influence the spheres of influence that we have. So don't try and influence the world. Try and influence the bit that you're in, but build those spheres. Make your spheres bigger as you go. But be optimistic. I'm an eternal optimist, quite often knocked back by my colleagues who were eternal pessimists. But, you know, it then averages out. Be optimistic. Why shouldn't it work well? Okay, why shouldn't it work well? Change management. I actually thrive on change. I suspect I've got a low boredom threshold, but I love change. But
Yeah.
I absolutely recognise that not everybody else does. So, you know, just because I've got a good idea doesn't mean everybody else thinks it's a good idea. But take that time to understand people. Ask them, why is it not a good idea? Why is what we're doing now better? Let's write it down. Let's do a list of pros and cons. Let's think about what might happen if we do try the change. What's the worst that can happen? We go back to doing it how we did it before. So, you know, it's that exploration. But I would say to young women coming in, yeah, please don't be shy. Don't be shy. We are, as women, naturally, I suspect, more quiet than perhaps sometimes we should be. Find your voice, use your voice, and be proud of your voice would be probably my advice.
Beautiful. So massively insightful for particularly for the young women today, because like you rightfully mentioned, a woman is not just a female radiographer, isn't it? There are most likely a mum, a partner, a wife, a friend, a daughter. So all the multiple roles that I actually play in the society, and every role has its own job description as well.
Yes,
Which can be
absolutely. Yeah.
very challenging, isn't it? So so that was absolutely brilliant, you know, talking to you today on this occasion of International Women's Day. And you are certainly one of those elite personalities where, you know, we radiographers, especially as, you know, females, you know, with all the challenges we have in our life, you know, would look forward to. Yeah. So on a personal level, so what does International Women's Day mean to you at this stage of your career? You've come a long way. It's been a successful journey for you. What do you have to say on a very personal note?
I think it's as an important a day as any other day in the calendar, probably the most primarily important day of the days in the calendar, because it is a day to celebrate women and everything that we are and everything that we do. And I think it is very easy, actually, as a woman to forget that. So it's that opportunity to just take a step back and just take a moment, again, to be proud of who you are and be proud of being a woman.
Thank you. That was absolutely brilliant again. And I hope today's session has been really, really insightful to our audience as well, just like it has been for me personally, for sure. Thank you very much. So it's lovely to see you, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again. Thank
I
you.
hope so. Thank you.